Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your AEW Dynamite post show, man. And there were certain things that happened on last night's episode. Obviously, there's a hot topic that everybody's talking about last night when it pertains to the press conference for Adam Page and MJF's match leading into Revolution. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how I felt about that press conference that happened last night, what I liked about the show last night, what I did not like about the show. Obviously, this was the go-home show, if you will, going into Revolution on Sunday, live from LA. So, obviously, we're going to talk about that as well. Talk about Revolution a little bit as well on today's episode, man. But let's start off tonight. We have a tag team matchup. It is Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli from the Death Riders taking on Don Callis' family's Takeshita as well as Hechicero, man. But the match itself, it was a decent match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both teams with Moxley and Claudio keeping the pace of the match. Takeshita hits a Hurricanrana in the middle of the ring, followed by a Blue Thunder Bomb in the middle of the ring for a near fall. Takeshita then hits a running knee, but Claudio gets up, hits a giant swing in the middle of the ring. Hechicero then gets involved in the match by hitting a leg drop for a near fall. Claudio then rakes the eyes of Hechicero, which allowed Claudio to hit a European uppercut into a roll-up, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. After the match, though, you can see the Don Callis family attacking Moxley, Claudio, and Marina Shafir. The Don Callis family then want Takeshita to hit Moxley with a chair, but Takeshita then tells the Don Callis family, no, not like that. And they all leave the ring. Some interesting stuff there from Takeshita and the Don Callis family. Moving on from that, we have a TNT title matchup. It is Kyle Fletcher defending the TNT title against Speedball Mike Bailey. The match itself, man, I thought was a great match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Fletcher and Bailey, with Bailey keeping the pace of the match. Bailey hits a Hurricanrana on Fletcher, followed by Bailey hitting a running shooting star press, landing on Fletcher for a near fall. Bailey then follows it up by hitting a spinning kick, as well as a Poison Rana on Fletcher off the apron. Bailey then hits a moonsault to the outside, followed by Bailey hitting a corkscrew moonsault to the outside as well. Fletcher then gets up, sends Bailey face first into the turnbuckle. After this, Bailey gets up, hits a moonsault knee drop, landing on Fletcher. Bailey then hits another moonsault knee drop on Fletcher on the outside. Bailey hits a Poison Rana off the top rope, taking out Fletcher. Bailey then hits another moonsault knee drop as well. Fletcher gets up, tries to get some offense in by hitting a devastating Michinoku driver on Bailey for a near fall in the middle of the ring. Okada is here. He was ringside. He causes a distraction. Mark Davis comes down to the ramp, gives Fletcher the title. Fletcher then hits Bailey with the title, followed by Fletcher hitting a brainbuster on Speedball Mike Bailey. Pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still TNT champion, is Kyle Fletcher. Hats off to Kyle Fletcher for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night, pretty much an impromptu matchup. It is Brody King taking on a jobber. This was a glorified squash match, with Brody King pretty much hitting the finish, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Brody King. After the match, you can see Brody King greeting the fans, giving high fives and shaking hands to the fans. But all of a sudden, there was a masked assailant in the crowd, and this masked assailant was none other than Swerve Strickland. Swerve ends up choking out Brody with a chain, but Brody then breaks the chain in the middle of the ring. King then hits a cannonball senton on Swerve into the corner. Brody then chokes Swerve using the broken chain. Prince Nana enters the ring. He tries to attack Brody King, but King pushes Nana away. So it looks like Brody King was sending a message to Swerve, letting Swerve Strickland know who the real most dangerous man is in AEW. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's a tag team matchup. It is Orange Cassidy teaming up with Darby Allin to take on the Dogs, Gabe Kidd and Dave Finlay. The match itself, I thought was a good match, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup with the Dogs keeping the pace of the match. Darby Allin applies a Scorpion Deathlock in the middle of the ring, but the hold is quickly broken. Orange Cassidy then hits a Stundog Millionaire, but Clark Connors is here. He attacks Orange Cassidy with a tire iron ringside, leaving Darby Allin all by himself in the middle of the ring. Finlay hits a Dominator on Darby in the middle of the ring, followed by Gabe Kidd hitting a devastating pile driver on Darby in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3. And your winners of the match are the Dogs. After the match, you can see the Dogs attacking Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. Roderick Strong comes out to the ring, but he was pretty much getting called out by David Finlay. Strong makes his way out to the ring to, I guess, greet the dogs. And at first, it looked like Roderick Strong was going to help the dogs, but all of a sudden, Roderick Strong pushes Orange Cassidy into David Finlay. Strong then attacks the dogs, and it looks like Roderick Strong finally reunites with Orange Cassidy. Some interesting stuff there from Roderick Strong. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's for the TBS title. It is Willow Nightingale defending the TBS title against Persephone. The match itself, I thought, was a good match, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Nightingale and Persephone, with Willow keeping the pace of the match. Willow hits a Hurricane Rana in the middle of the ring, followed by Persephone hitting a Hurricane Rana of her own on Willow in the middle of the ring. Willow then hits a step-up enziguri on Persephone, followed by a Fisherman Suplex on Persephone for a near fall. Persephone then gets up, tries to get some offense in by hitting a fall-away slam on Willow, but Willow gets up, hits a senton off the apron, taking out Persephone on the outside. Willow then throws Persephone back in the ring. Willow hits a cannonball senton on Persephone for a near fall. Persephone then gets up, hits a German suplex, followed by a springboard moonsault landing on Willow for a near fall. Willow and Persephone then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Willow hitting a roll-up on Persephone, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and still TBS champion is Willow Nightingale. Hats off to Willow Nightingale for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the Young Bucks teaming up with Mark Briscoe to take on FTR and Tommaso Ciampa. The match itself, it was a good match. The match was all over the place. It's a back-and-forth matchup. Matt Jackson hits a blockbuster off the apron on the outside. The Young Bucks and Briscoe were trying to keep the pace of the match, with Nick Jackson hitting a 450 splash for a near fall. Ciampa and Briscoe then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Briscoe hitting a blockbuster off the barricade. Briscoe then hits a senton over the ropes to the outside. Wheeler then accidentally kicks Ciampa. Nick Jackson then hits a swanton, followed by Briscoe hitting a froggy bow for a near fall off the top rope. Wheeler then pushes Nick Jackson off the top rope. Nick then goes through a table on the outside. FTR then hit a shatter machine in the middle of the ring for a near fall, followed by FTR hitting a spike pile driver on Matt Jackson through the announce table. Ciampa then hits a running knee in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are FTR and Tommaso Ciampa. After the match, you can see Ciampa attacking Briscoe with a chair, and then Ciampa hits a white noise off the top rope through a chair structure in the middle of the ring. Some interesting stuff there from Tommaso Ciampa. And moving on from that, closing out the night, we have the Adam Page and MJF press conference for their highly anticipated matchup at Revolution in a Texas Death Match for the AEW World Title. So basically we had Adam Page, number 1 contender, as well as MJF in a press conference type setup that was pretty much backstage of last night's Dynamite episode, and it was pretty much being moderated by former AEW World Champion and legend himself, Bryan Danielson. So we had Page and MJF sitting there with Bryan Danielson, and then we had an abundance of reporters and other content creators out there in the field pretty much asking these questions to both MJF and Adam Page. Now, credit, these questions that were asked were 100% scripted, number 1. We also saw Dave Meltzer. He was also ringside during AEW's Dynamite. There was a picture that came out where he was staring down Okada when Okada came out to the ring. So we had this press conference set up. We had a couple content creators and stuff like that asking MJF and Adam Page a couple questions. So Adam Page then says that, this was all about the AEW World Title. MJF says the fact that he is involved in this kind of match stipulation is absolutely ridiculous. Page says that MJF is leaving Revolution in an ambulance, and the fact that Page says that he is the master of the Texas Death Match. After that, Page says that he laid his entire future, his entire career, on the line at Revolution. Page then was asked, if he doesn't win the title at Revolution, then who is Adam Page? Page says that's never going to happen. After that, MJF then grabs a couple beers. Looks like he wanted to celebrate with Adam Page. But MJF ends up throwing the beers at Page. Both Page and MJF brawl throughout the arena. And then pretty much AEW then finally goes off the air. Couple things I want to talk about with you guys, man. I want to talk about, obviously, the main elephant in the room. The press conference last night. I'm going to be honest. I thought the press conference was absolutely and utterly embarrassing last night. I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and say that my audio is all that great. I'm in the aspects of making the audio of the podcast a lot better here, hopefully soon. But my God, man, the audio last night from that press conference, I've seen better audio come through a McDonald's drive-through speaker or an intercom speaker at a VFW better than what we saw last night in this press conference, man. It sounded like they were talking through a tin can last night. Hell, you probably had better audio or better sounding with 2 Dixie cups attached to a wire or a piece of string. This audio last night with this press conference was absolutely awful. It sounded like they were talking through a goddamn tin can last night. So there's that issue. The other issue that I have with this goddamn press conference, man, is that you had people who bought a ticket to sit there and watch Dynamite in San Jose. I believe they were in San Jose, California last night. Meanwhile, you had this press conference backstage, and it was filmed like shit. Audio was horrible. You had other content creators out there that are asking these scripted questions that were pretty much, I'm pretty sure Tony Khan probably gave every single one of those individuals that were sitting down asking these questions last night pieces of paper with what they were asked to say to Paige and MJF. You know what I mean? Like, everybody there, it was so goddamn cringy, man. You saw Dave Meltzer there, and not for nothing, Dave Meltzer has been more criticized as of late than he has in the past few years. As of late, the past couple years, Dave Meltzer has been at the forefront as far as being an embarrassment in the community, bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. He has been more wrong than he has been right. And Dave Meltzer has been 9 times out of 10 called out on his bullshit. But you saw Meltzer there last night ringside. You know, he was kissing AEW's ass, just like all those other content creators that were there last night. Look, man, I told you guys, and I made this abundantly clear, man, I'm not here to rub shoulders with these people. I'm not here to get in the good graces of Tony Khan or Triple H or Nick Khan. I'm here to give it to you guys straight down the line. Whether the shit's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. If you don't like it, then go somewhere else, man. I mean, at the end of the day, people need to call people out on their bullshit. AEW's press conference last night was absolutely bullshit. Meanwhile, this is the go-home show to, honestly, arguably one of AEW's biggest events of the year. For sure. And I'm going to be honest, man. I don't feel the excitement going into Revolution this year. I don't. I really don't. I feel like they're at a standstill right now. You know, you had this matchup with MJF and Adam Page, and not for nothing, bro. Look, I'm not trying in any shape, way, or form disrespect MJF or his title reign, man. But that shit that happened last night, bro, it was just, I don't know, man. It just felt like it was way lackluster. It felt like if I was MJF, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why the fuck am I even here? Why am I doing this shit? It just feels like it's beneath MJF, man. It just does. And the fact that Adam Page is putting everything on the line, meaning if Adam Page loses to MJF on Sunday at Revolution, he will never ever challenge for the AEW World title again. So here's my thing, man. If Adam Page goes into Revolution in a matchup that pretty much he solidified on his own, and a matchup that is right in his wheelhouse with the Texas Death Match, if Page goes in and beats MJF, what is this necessarily going to do for AEW? Honestly. Honestly, it's a double-edged sword, because if Page loses, his stipulation was that he'll never challenge for the AEW World title again. Okay? So if he loses, he won't be able to challenge for the title. But if he wins, then MJF's out as being world champion. Right now, in my honest opinion, you have to feed the hot hand. And the hot hand right now is MJF as AEW World Champion. And I told you guys, my prediction was MJF was going to hold on to this title until we get to All In. And it's going to be MJF versus Will Ospreay at All In at Wembley. Because that's the money match to make. Where Will Ospreay will go over and become the new AEW World Champion for the first time in AEW. That's the money match to make. That's the direction I think AEW should go. I told you guys before, man, I can give a rat's ass about seeing Adam Page AEW World Champion again, to be honest. And it's not like, okay, well, I'm completely against him ever being champion again. No, I just don't want to see it right now. I mean, this goes back to when they had this bullshit mateship tournament that they created to crown a new number one contender for the AEW World title, where seemingly Adam Page didn't do a goddamn thing in that tournament. He pretty much got a bye because Samoa Joe was injured and was not able to compete because he got injured. So Adam Page basically got a bye all the way to the end of the tournament. Meanwhile, Omega, Swerve, and Andrade all had matches. You go back to the Brody King situation where Brody King lobbied Tony Khan to give him an opportunity at MJF. So they put Brody King and MJF in a title eliminator matchup where Brody King seemingly beat MJF in 30 to 40 seconds, which gave Brody King a title match against MJF at, what was it, Grand Slam? Come on, bro. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing? And people are going to say, oh, well, they got injuries. Bro, this company has had more injuries than I can even count. At this point now, I would hope Tony Khan and the powers that be know how to adapt with injuries by now, bro, because you got some top-tier talent right now that are out with injury. Ospreay, Adam Cole, we don't know when the hell he's coming back or if he does come back. Keith Lee, who's been out for 2 goddamn years. Jay White, again, main event caliber talent, that is out, bro. So again, I would hope by now they will learn how to adapt. I think Revolution this year, man, I don't know. I just, in my honest opinion, I don't know, man. To me last night, that press conference was absolutely bullshit. The audio of that shit sounded like it came from a tin can or a McDonald's drive-through speaker or a intercom from the VFW or, hell, man, I've seen better audio from, like I said, with 2 Dixie cups attached to a damn wire, like back in the day. Hell, probably had better audio than we had last night out of that goddamn press conference. And my thing is this, bro. Bryan Danielson was moderating this whole damn press conference. Why couldn't it have been that Bryan Danielson could have asked these questions with Adam Page and MJF? Why couldn't we have a backstage sit-down? Because my thing is this, bro. You see it in boxing all the time, where you have 2 top guys. Hell, let's say for a prime example, it could be, I don't know, let's say Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, where you'll have somebody from the Zone or a promoter. It could be, from Matchroom Boxing, whatever. But then they sit these 2 gentlemen down, and there's somebody there moderating it. And both these guys are literally sitting down face to face, talking about their fight. Why couldn't we have some shit like that last night, where Bryan Danielson could have moderated a sit-down between number one contender Adam Page and MJF? I feel like if they would have done that, it would have been more symbolic. It would have had more of a feeling to it than some bullshit press conference that was pretty much half-assed, number one. All the questions that were asked, these questions were asked based upon Tony Khan. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, bro. It's just so fucking cringy, man. It really is. You got Dave Meltzer there, who was a glorified AEW ass kisser. You had other people in the community that are trying to do whatever they can to rub shoulders with these people to get in the good graces. It's like, come on, man. Nobody has a mind for themselves anymore doing this shit. They really don't. Nobody is genuine, and nothing's organic anymore. Be your fucking self, man. And don't sit here and tell me, oh, they are. No, they're not. They're kissing their asses and trying to get in the good graces of these people so they can go to these goddamn post shows or they can go to these bullshit press conferences that AEW's throwing together off a whim. Get the fuck out of here with that. It's trash, man. It's trash. And nothing last night even remotely made sense. And here's the other thing. I'll give credit where credit's due. Mike Bailey and Kyle Fletcher stole the show last night. Kyle Fletcher is in a category now where he can have a match with a piece of sliced bread and it'd be a 5-star goddamn match. Fletcher's incredible. That matchup that he had with Speedball Mike Bailey last night was absolutely incredible. Those guys tore the goddamn house down. But my issue with this is you got Kyle Fletcher, if I'm not mistaken, going into Revolution with no opponent. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but what I know, he doesn't have an opponent at Revolution. So why is he not, rather than defending the Trios titles, which clearly no one gives a shit about, he's defending the Trios titles against Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Mystico, who is replacing Adam Page because Page has a world title match in the main event of Revolution. I would have ran it back between Kyle Fletcher and Mike Bailey at Revolution for the TNT title. The hell with the trios titles, bro. The trios titles are dog shit. Honestly. No one gives a shit about the trios titles, just like no one gives a shit about the AEW Women's Tag Team titles, bro. They are meaningless. No one gives a shit about those belts, man. Nobody. Nobody gives a fuck. The match that they put on last night between Fletcher and Bailey was an absolute banger of a match. Let's run it back. Especially after the fact that what Kyle Fletcher did to get the win over Mike Bailey last night with the helps from Okada and most specifically Mark Davis. Let's run it back. Why not? No, we're going to do a trios title match because you know what? Let's get some more importance on the trios titles. You don't even have a trios division that's even worth a goddamn. Come on, bro. Like, it's just... It gets to a fucking point, man, where sometimes you just got to shake your head and be like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? Honestly, last night, that press conference alone almost made me not want to even watch the goddamn match between Adam Page and MJF. I almost got secondhand embarrassment watching that shit last night. It was, I mean, dude, it was so fucking cringy, man. Honestly. And the thing of it is, bro, is like a lot of people, you know, feel bad for AEW and all this other shit. I don't feel bad. I don't. Because at the end of the day, bro, their roster is so bloated. They have the talent. Just tell some fucking story. Give me the when, the where, and the why. Give me some fucking intrigue. Going into these pay-per-views that you're seemingly still charging people $40 to $50 fucking dollars for. Give me some interest, bro. Give me some intrigue. Give me something. I'm not going to sit here and say that AEW is all about the greed. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the means. But what I'm saying is that you're still charging people $40 to $50 for pay-per-view. Can we get some goddamn story to go along with it? Some fucking intrigue? Before people are willing to fork out $40 to $50 fucking dollars for these pay-per-views? Something? You know, the whole thing was with Adam Page and MJF. It's the only storyline really legitimately going right now in AEW. And it started getting some intrigue until last night it hit a roadblock with this bullshit press conference. Other than that, nothing else really made sense last night. You had Swerve Strickland in a mask attacking Brody King, which I don't know if Tony Khan and AEW are watching what WWE is doing, but not for nothing. Mainly the biggest story going on in WWE for I don't know how long now is who's behind the fucking mask. I mean, Seth Rollins last night, or not last night, but Monday Night Raw, showed up wearing the goddamn mask with 10 to 15 other people wearing that same damn mask. Somebody has something for people in masks for some fucking reason. And then we get to Dynamite last night. You see Swerve Strickland in the crowd with a mask on, attacking Brody King with a chain. Come on, bro. Let's do something else, man. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's not ride the coattails of WWE a little bit. Let's do something different. You know what I mean? Have some kind of creative mindset going into this shit. Why couldn't Brody King find Swerve backstage and beat the shit out of him? Beat the hell out of him in the parking lot? What happened to the fucking stories, man? The intrigue, bro. If you go, and I hate saying this shit, but it's the fucking truth, man. If you remember the first 3 years of AEW, holy shit. You want to talk about night and day with storyline. You remember that Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes shit? You remember that? You remember the Wardlow and MJF shit? And who was it? Dustin Rhodes getting attacked backstage? His arm slammed into a limo? Or some shit like that? The Jericho storyline with MJF, Inner Circle, the JAS, Pinnacle. Like, what the fuck happened? Do we not give a shit anymore? Do we not want to have fun anymore? Make some fucking storylines that are, like, at least intriguing, man. You're throwing, shit to a wall and hoping something sticks. Oh, that's a good idea. Let's go with that, pal. That's going to work great. No, bro, it's not the way it fucking works. Get off your lazy asses and write some fucking story. Seriously, man. Stop taking the fucking easy way out all the time. Seriously. We're going to put on banger matches. And these banger matches that they're putting on are glorified rematches that people are like, oh, this is going to be a good match, not realizing that they ran this match back a couple months ago. Come on, bro. Oh, the main event scene's red hot. Yeah. Use some other fucking people. Build up some goddamn superstars. We look at Darby Allin last night. What the fuck is Darby Allin doing at this point? It's almost as if after he was on one of his best streaks that he had storyline based right where Sting retired. And then Darby took some time off to climb Mount Everest. Great. Awesome accomplishment. But my God, bro, ever since he came back into the fold of AEW, it's like Tony Khan and AEW have no plans at all with Darby Allin. You know, and Darby Allin, I think he did an interview not too long ago where he said that he's not really interested in the AEW World title. He's more interested in competitive storylines. Bro, you're not in a fucking storyline right now. We don't know on one side of the fence if you're competing with the Death Riders and Jon Moxley, or now you're dealing with the Dogs and David Finlay, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd. So what the fuck is going on? What's going on? You call that a story? No. It's not a story. These guys came in and beat the shit out of you. Gabe Kidd has made it his solid life goal to make Darby Allin's life a living hell. Now Gabe Kidd's got some backup, and Clark Connors and David Finlay. And then we see Roderick Strong last night reuniting with Orange Cassidy when Orange Cassidy's been by himself for the past 2 weeks getting his ass kicked. Strong took a sabbatical and said, you know what, I'm done with my cup of coffee. I'll come back and help his ass out. Come on, bro. What the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing? Now we're going to get, a 6-man tag team matchup with Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Darby Allin taking on the Dogs? Come on, man. Come on. It's a fucking joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. And I'm going to call them out on their bullshit every fucking time. It's a joke, man. It's an absolute joke. The press conference last night was a fucking joke. Come on, man. You couldn't have had a sit-down between Bryan Danielson, MJF, and Adam Page to hype up this match. The go-home show going into Revolution. You couldn't do that? Instead, you're going to do this half-ass bullshit press conference? Come on, man. Come on. There are other content creators out there that are kissing Tony Khan's ass. Come on, man. I'm not trying to throw anybody on the bus, y'all. I'm not. But I'm going to call a spade, man. Seriously. Nobody has their own opinion anymore. Everybody else is just following suit. They're like sheeps at this point. Be organic, bro. Be your fucking self. Have your own opinion. You can call back your bullshit up. I thought the press conference last night was a fucking embarrassment. Tony Khan should be embarrassed. And people could say, oh, well, you're an AEW hater. No, I'm not. Because I said the same shit about WWE with their greed. They don't give a fuck what the fans think as long as their pants are getting lined with cash. I mean, I gave my whole opinion about WWE. And I'm going to continue to do so until shit starts to fucking change. And the funny thing is with AEW, all I want is good television. Give me some competitive storylines that make sense. That's it. I've been preaching the same shit with AEW for storylines now for the past 2 goddamn years. Give us some fucking story, man. That's it. You guys are coasting right now. WWE's doing the same shit. They're backpedaling their asses off right now going into WrestleMania because they don't even know what the fuck they're doing, and they're playing it safe. Which they shouldn't be. We're on the road to WrestleMania. Let's get some intrigue, bro. Let's get a little chaos going. Let's get a little crazy going into WrestleMania. It's the biggest show of the year. No, you're playing it safe, man. You're paying, you're not doing shit. No intrigue, no interest, no wow factor at all over in WWE. So for those people out there that are saying, oh, well, you're only hating AEW. No, the hell I'm not. No, I'm not. And for those people that are new here, great to have you here. Thank you very much for being here. But just so you all know, I'm not here to sugarcoat shit. I'm not. I'm not here to kiss WWE's ass. I'm not here to kiss AEW's ass. I'm not. I'm tired of the bullshit, folks. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit no more. I'm not. Last night's shit was... I legitimately got secondhand embarrassment last night from that goddamn press conference. Come on, man. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? You could have had a sit-down with Bryan, Page, and MJF last night. Just like how they do in boxing. One last little hoorah before we get to this matchup here. No. We had a bunch of dumbasses asking a bunch of dumbass questions that were pretty much given to them by Tony Khan to ask MJF and Adam Page. No one has their own opinion. And Tony Khan wants to do his absolute best to be in the good graces of the community. Come on, man. Come on. Like, it's a fucking joke. It's a joke. And my standpoint with Tony Khan has been the same. I genuinely think that this guy is delusional. I don't know who's feeding him his bullshit to booster his ego. Bro, what you're doing ain't working. It's not working. I better never see this press conference shit like this again ever on AEW. It's a fucking embarrassment. It was. I was embarrassed to watch that last night. If I'm being abundantly honest with y'all, I was embarrassed. It was an absolute joke. An absolute joke. And hell, it was so bad they could have started off the show with that. And we're talking about the main event at Revolution. That's how bad that shit was last night. The show was all over the goddamn place. And the only good thing coming out of that show, like I said earlier, was probably Kyle Fletcher and Speedball Mike Bailey. But do you think AEW is willing to run that back? No, hell no. We're just going to move past that. We're just going to do the trios titles. You know, we're going to have Jet Speed with Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey, and we're going to team them up with Mystico to take on the Don Callis family for the trios titles. To hell with that matchup. Like, what? What? Like, what are we doing here? And here's my other thing, too. If Adam Page is still trios, well, was at one time trios champion, are they going to reunite him back with Jet Speed, or is he on his own? We're going to replace him with Mystico. Which, again, Mystico is a great talent. Great talent. He wrestles over in CMLL. He's a great talent. He is the guy for CMLL. Hell, I've also praised CMLL, too, when they've been working with AEW. I said Mascara Dorada is a phenomenal talent. He has a great match lined up this weekend on Collision between Dorada and Andrade. And my thing is this, bro. With Andrade, I told you guys, Andrade has been killing it ever since he came back in the fold of AEW. It's a whole new Andrade. He's put on some banger matches, man. I'd rather had seen MJF versus Andrade at Revolution, if I'm being abundantly honest. I think I even told you guys that my picks were either Andrade or Kenny Omega. But we're not seeing Kenny Omega at Revolution because he's over in Japan right now for a Street Fighter video game convention over in Japan. So he's not going to be a part of, what I understand, Revolution's festivities this weekend. That's why they didn't book a rematch between Swerve and Kenny Omega. Instead, we're going to do an angle here with Brody King and Swerve Strickland on who the most dangerous man is in all of AEW. Which, honestly, quite frankly, I can give a rat's ass about. Look, I told you guys how I felt about Brody King. I think Brody King is a main event caliber talent. It's just hard for me to believe him being AEW World Champion. And the reason why that is because majority of Brody King's career in AEW, he's been predominantly in stables or tag teams. Started off with the House of Black with, Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews. Malachi Black left. He went back to WWE as Aleister Black. Brody King then teamed up with Buddy Matthews as the Hellhounds. Buddy got hurt. And then Brody King, teamed up with Bandito as Brodito, and they became the AEW Tag Team Champions at one time. So, excuse me for, having a hard time believing that he's going to be AEW World Champion. Because not for nothing, his career has been predominantly in stables or tag teams, where not for nothing, Brody King has had success as being in a tag team. He's former AEW Tag Team Champions with Bandito. You know what I mean? I don't think it's necessarily bad for me to believe that Brody King might possibly be better off in a tag team. You know what I mean? It's not like when he faced off against MJF, there was some kind of significant push for Brody King. There wasn't. That's just my opinion. I'm not sitting here saying that he's in the Mark Briscoe category. Which, again, Mark Briscoe, look, I praise Briscoe. I think the Briscoes themselves, being Mark and Jay, are one of the most underrated tag teams of all time. My top 3 new generation tag teams of all time right now would be the Bucks, FTR, and Mark Briscoe, necessarily not in that order. But those are my top 3 tag teams in the modern era. Absolutely. And unfortunately, we lost Jay, it's heartbreaking, man, and rest in peace to Jay Briscoe. But I gave my standpoints on Mark Briscoe. He is one of those guys who's going to be a mid-card guy. I don't think they really have a vision for Mark Briscoe. They just don't. I don't see Mark Briscoe being AEW World Champion. I just don't. It's not taking anything away from Briscoe. I think he's a great wrestler, man. He's very talented. But it's hard for me to believe that he's going to be a main event guy and he's going to be an AEW World Champion one day. It's just hard for me to believe that. It just is. And now they're trying to do a situation now with Briscoe and Ciampa. And Ciampa seemingly wants to go back to the NXT Black and Gold Ciampa. You know, everybody was talking about the attack that he had on Briscoe in Collision. Had a lot of similarities to what Ciampa did to Johnny Gargano, which ultimately started that whole feud between Ciampa and Gargano that's going to go down in NXT history. It's great that Ciampa is in AEW, and if Ciampa wants to go back to what he once was, I got no problem with that at all. Not at all. He wants to be a solid heel. He wants to be the guy. Ciampa's going back to what brought him to the dance. I don't hate that at all. I don't hate it at all. Now, am I 100% on board with him teaming up with FTR? No. You know, and I gave my standpoints on FTR as well. You know, if FTR go into this matchup against Revolution, against the Bucks, and let's say hypothetically they beat the Bucks, then realistically at that point, who would be next for FTR? It would have to be Copeland and Cage, bro. We had not seen these guys since September at All Out. In Toronto. Where the fuck is Copeland and Cage at? Why are we not running this back? I understand they wanted to take some time off. I get it. I think Copeland was filming a TV show or a movie and Cage just seemingly took some time off. But they need to run this back. So it is hard for me to believe that FTR is going to drop these belts because to me the match to make would be FTR versus Copeland and Cage for the AEW Tag Team titles, where Copeland and Cage would go over and become the AEW Tag Team Champions. Especially after what FTR did at All Out by hitting a shatter machine on Beth Copeland in the middle of the ring. Obviously, there's some unfinished business there between FTR and Copeland and Cage. They need to run that back. They can't just, we're going to turn the other cheek on that. No. You need to run that back. That story is still yet to be unfinished. That story is finished when Copeland and Cage become the AEW Tag Team Champions. That's when that happens. You know what I mean? So I don't know if FTR is going to drop the belts at Revolution. And if they don't, then the next contenders should be Copeland and Cage. For all intents and purposes, we might see Copeland and Cage at Revolution. I hope we do. I hope we do. Because not for nothing, they need them. They need them. So more interest and more intrigue on Dynamite. They need it. They need it. But all I'm saying is I never want to see another press conference like that ever again. That was an absolute joke, bro. Seriously. Their post shows for after these pay-per-views are a lot better than what we saw last night. The shit we see at StarCast when they had that, remember that? Was put together a hell of a lot better than what we saw last night with that damn press conference. I mean, it was a fucking joke last night, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really do not get it. And then at Revolution, which again, I'm going to reiterate this as well. Willow has not one, but 2 goddamn matches at Revolution. She's defending, I believe, the AEW Women's Tag Team titles, and then she has a TBS title match against Cross at Revolution. And I'm going to go back to what I said about Willow a while back ago. I think she's a phenomenal talent. But Willow does not need to hold 2 titles at the same damn time. She doesn't. Because at the end of the day right now, Willow is pretty much holding 2/3 of all of the women's titles that you can get in AEW. Whether it's the women's tag team titles or now the women's TBS title. This roster is bloated. We do not need to have any superstar at this very moment holding 2 titles at the same time. Especially within AEW. If you want to hold a title in CMLL, fine. You want to hold a title and be a double champion for New Japan, fine. But holding 2 titles in AEW? No, bro, because the roster is severely bloated. Give someone else a chance and someone else an opportunity to have championship gold. And I am hoping that Willow does drop one of those belts at Revolution, to be honest with you. Whether it's the TBS title or the tag team titles. I would not be shocked if she drops the TBS title to Cross. They are building Cross up to be a very strong superstar on the female roster in AEW. We'll see how it plays out, but I do believe Willow will drop one of those belts, and she should. Willow does not need to have 2 titles at the same time. I'm sorry. On a roster that is severely bloated. We know she's a great superstar, and Willow's really coming to her own. We all know that. But, if anything, she does need to hold 2 titles at the same time. Not for the same company, bro. This is not All Japan Pro Wrestling, where you got the Triple Crown title, and you see Masawa walking down to the ring with 3 fucking titles, or Kawada with 3 titles, or Vader, or Stan Hansen. This ain't All Japan Pro Wrestling. It's not. Time to move on. Time to move forward. Hell, All Japan Pro Wrestling is not even as big as it once was. If we're going to go back in time for that, you also have to go back on the fact that there was a mass exodus of talent that left All Japan Pro Wrestling and joined Misawa to help him create Pro Wrestling Noah. That's as far back as I go with pro wrestling, folks. You know what I mean? It's not All Japan Pro Wrestling. I remember when QT Marshall left the company and put out a statement saying that there's no more storylines and he wants to book it like All Japan Pro Wrestling. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Fans in the States want story. They want some intrigue. They want to know the when, the where, and the why. A little bit of excitement to go with these matches. Can't just book this shit tournament-based or put on banger matches after banger matches. Because eventually those people watching those matches are going to ask, well, you know, I ain't really interested in why this match came together. And that's where we're at now with AEW. Can't book it like All Japan, bro. You can't. You need some story. You need some intrigue. And then we get the match. You get a little bit of the sizzle, and then you get the steak. You know what I mean? Slow marinade. But we need some intrigue, man. We need intrigue. And I can't sit here and say that the press conference last night gave me any more intrigue into the Adam Page MJF match at Revolution. It really didn't. If anything, it kind of got me to a point where I'm like, you know what, bro? I don't know if I really want to see this goddamn match after what happened last night. Because, like I said, bro, it was embarrassment. It was embarrassing to watch that shit last night. It really was. And hopefully AEW never does that kind of shit again, bro. Because, my God, it was an embarrassment. It was absolutely embarrassing. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know, folks. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, I can sit here and say that, you know, AEW needs to hit a reset button and sit here and say that till I'm blue in the face. I have been preaching that shit now for 2 goddamn years. But there needs to be a change, bro. We need to get back to some story. And I'm not the only one that's been saying that or preaching that. We need some kind of change. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I think ever since they got that TV rights deal, man, AEW got lazy. And most notably, Tony Khan got lazy. Yeah, you're hiring all this other talent. Great. And the only reason why he was hiring all that talent because TNA was getting that AMC TV rights deal. Tony Khan felt the pressure. A fire burned under his ass because TNA was coming in hot, getting this TV rights deal, and now he had competition with TNA. That's why he signed talents like, you know, Jake something and, you know, the Rascals and all this shit because he felt the pressure and the fire burned underneath his ass because he thought TNA was going to overtake AEW. Which, did that happen? No. Because, not for nothing, TNA's debut episode on AMC was a humongous disaster. But he felt, you know, the need, I need to sign this talent quick, man. You're signing this talent, and these talents are sitting back in catering doing jack shit. Doing nothing, because the roster is so goddamn bloated. Immensely bloated. That's why there's no need for an individual on that roster to hold 2 titles at the same damn time because the roster is so goddamn bloated. You know what I mean? That's the truth, bro. Like, we don't need it. There's like, 8 to 9 different goddamn titles on this roster. Let's separate the belts a little bit, folks. Let's get some more intrigue with some other individuals. Some other superstars on the roster that don't really get looked at too much. Let's build the younger talent for AEW because you got it. Look what you saw last night between Fletcher and Speedball Mike Bailey. Fletcher can carry this company for the next 10, 15 goddamn years if AEW is still around by then. Like I said, man, Fletcher is the kind of guy who's in a category now that can have a match with a piece of sliced bread to be a 5-star banger match. Fletcher is incredible. That guy goes from 0 to 60 in like 2.5 seconds. And Fletcher's in that category. So is Speedball Mike Bailey. Kevin Knight. These guys right here are the future of this company. Without a shadow of a doubt. Let's start building towards the future. You know what I mean? And yeah, I get it. Injuries are hurting this company a little bit. Jay White's out. Keith Lee, Adam Cole, Camille. Mercedes is taking some time off. Britt Baker. Bobby Lashley's taking some time off. He's hurt. We haven't seen Shelton Benjamin either. We haven't seen the Hurt Business or the Hurt Syndicate. You know what I mean? Austin Gunn or Colton Gunn's out with injury. So we don't have the Gun Club right now. Jay White's out with injury. He's another main event caliber talent. Keith Lee's been out for 2 goddamn years. Camille's out. We don't even know if Camille's still employed with the company. Wardlow's out with injury. So yeah, I get it. Injuries are going to hinder some of the the storylines, if you want to call it that, going into certain pay-per-views. But, bro, at this juncture now, AEW needs to learn how to adapt and overcome. This is not their first rodeo. They've been dealing with injuries since the very beginning of AEW. That's changed a lot for them. So you had to, by now, I would hope they will learn how to adapt and overcome certain injuries to give the fans decent matches and decent storylines. We need something. We need intrigue. But I don't know, man. I think, and all in all, am I still excited for Revolution? Yeah, there's a couple matches on Revolution that I am excited for. One of the most notable matches I'm actually excited for is actually going to be Bandito versus Andrade. I feel like that's going to be a sleeper match, man. That's going to be a match that's going to be absolutely incredible, to be honest with you. Paige and MJF, Texas Death Match, it should be a hell of a match. I mean, this is a matchup that is pretty much right in Adam Page's wheelhouse. Like he said himself, he is the master of the Texas Death Match. And 9 times out of 10, those matches are absolutely brutal. We got Jon Moxley versus Takeshita. Again, should be an incredible match. Kind of rooting for Takeshita on this one. I think Takeshita, again, is another guy that can carry AEW for the next 10, 15 years. So I'm looking forward to that matchup between Moxley and Takeshita. We got Brody King and Swerve Strickland, I guess, to see who is the most dangerous man in all of AEW. Should be one hell of a match between both Swerve and Brody King. And, it's going to be a decent night. We got the Young Bucks and FTR, but I'm also expecting some returns, or if not debuts. I'm expecting maybe the return of Copeland and Cage. I know there's been talks about a possibility of a debut of a certain someone named Dakota Kai. She might be making her way over to AEW as well. I know Will Ospreay has praised Dakota Kai, and Ospreay would love to have Dakota Kai over in AEW. She could be showing up at Revolution. I know people are still even talking about Karrion Kross coming over to AEW. So I am expecting at least a return or a possible debut at Revolution on Sunday. Hopefully it's going to be a good card. And hopefully, it can surpass expectations. But I'm not holding my breath or crossing my fingers for damn sure, man. But like I said, man, Dynamite last night, I'm not going to sit here and say it was the worst Dynamite of all time. It damn sure was not the best, or even good for that matter. I think the best thing coming out of Dynamite last night was probably Fletcher versus Mike Bailey. Other than that, man, this show was all over the place, and that press conference was absolutely embarrassing. But this is my review of AEW's Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.